Have you ever felt like your emotions were the driver of your car and you were just a terrified passenger in the back seat? Maybe someone says something critical at work, and before you can think, you've snapped back with a sarcastic comment you'll regret by dinner. Or maybe you feel a wave of anxiety, and instead of going to that social event, you find yourself on the couch, scrolling through your phone for 3 hours. Welcome back. Today we are breaking down a framework that will fundamentally change how you relate to your inner world. We are diving into Susan David's masterpiece, Emotional Agility. Most of us were taught one of two things about negative emotions. Either bottle them, push them down and pretend everything is fine, or brood on them, let them swirl around in our heads until we're drowning in them. Susan David suggests a third way. She calls it emotional agility. In this video, we are going to explore the 5-step blueprint to stop being ruled by your feelings and start living a life guided by your values. If you're tired of being hooked by your stress, your anger, or your self-doubt, stay with me. This is the manual for your mind that you never received in school. Before we dive into step 1, hit that subscribe button. We are building a community of people who don't just want to feel better, but want to get better at feeling. Let's get started. Step 1, show up, the pause. The first step to emotional agility is what Susan David calls showing up. In our culture, we are obsessed with toxic positivity. We think that if we aren't happy, something is wrong with us. We try to edit our internal experience, but as David points out in chapter 4, when we push emotions away, they only grow stronger. It's called amplification. The concept, showing up, means facing your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors with curiosity and kindness. Instead of running from the monsters in your mind, you turn around and look them in the eye. You realize that emotions are just data, not directives. The actionable exercise, the sacred pause. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, famously said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response." The next time you are triggered, maybe an email makes your blood boil or a comment makes you feel small, I want you to pause. Don't type, don't speak, just breathe. Notice where the emotion is in your body. Is your chest tight? Are your fists clenched? By simply noticing the feeling without trying to change it, you are showing up. You are acknowledging that the emotion is there without letting it take the wheel. Remember, you don't have to fix the feeling. You just have to be willing to sit in the room with it for 30 seconds. That 30-second pause is the difference between an emotional reaction and an intentional response. Step 2, step out, unfurling. Once you've shown up to the emotion, the next step is to step out. In chapter 5, Susan David discusses the concept of being hooked. When you are hooked, you and the emotion are one and the same. You say things like, "I am angry," or "I am depressed." This is a linguistic trap. When you say "I am," you are defining yourself by a temporary state. You become the cloud rather than the sky. The concept, unfurling. Stepping out is about creating distance. It's the process of unfurling yourself from the feeling so you can see it for what it is, a transient piece of data. The actionable exercise, labeling the emotion. Instead of saying "I am stressed," I want you to start using this specific phrasing. "I am noticing that I am feeling stressed." It sounds small, but the neurological shift is massive. By saying "I am noticing," you have created an observer. There is the I, the observer, and there is the stress, the object. Take it one step further. Try to find the real name of the feeling. Often we say we are angry when we are actually disappointed. We say we are stressed when we are actually lonely. Susan David found that the simple act of labeling an emotion accurately reduces the fight or flight response in the brain. When you label it, you limit it. You realize that you are the sky and the emotion is just a weather pattern passing through. Step 3, walk your why. Now that you've created some space between yourself and your feelings, you need a compass. Step 3 is walk your why. Emotions are like a loud, drunk friend at a party. They have a lot to say, but they aren't always giving good advice. Fear tells you to hide. Anger tells you to attack. If you follow your emotions, you'll end up in places you don't want to be. In Chapter 7, David explains that values are the soul's GPS. They are the qualities of being that you want to bring to the world. The concept: emotional agility isn't about ignoring your feelings. It's about acknowledging them and then choosing to act according to your values instead. Your values are not what you should do. They are what you want your life to stand for. The actionable exercise, the value audit. Think of a situation where you usually get hooked by an emotion. Now ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be in this moment? If your value is kindness, but your emotion is resentment, walking your why means choosing the kind response even while the resentment is still there. Write down your top 3 values. Maybe they are integrity, curiosity, and connection. Carry them on a sticky note or in your phone. When the emotional storm hits, look at that list and ask, does this next action move me closer to my values or further away? Your why is the only thing strong enough to override the biological urge to react. Step 4, micro moves. At this point, you might be thinking, that sounds great, but changing my whole life based on values feels overwhelming. This is where Step 4 comes in. Micro moves. In Chapter 8, Susan David talks about the power of the teeny tiny tweak. We often think that change requires a massive leap. Quitting the job, moving across the country, a total personality overhaul. But emotional agility is built in the inch-wide margins of your day. The concept: a micro move is a small, intentional shift in your habits or mindset that aligns you with your values. It's about making a tweak rather than a transformation. These small wins build self-efficacy, the belief that you can actually handle your internal world. The actionable exercise, the 5% tweak. Ask yourself, what is one thing I could do today that would make me just 5% more aligned with my values? If your value is health, a micro move isn't running a marathon, it's taking the stairs instead of the elevator. If your value is connection, it's sending one text to a friend you haven't spoken to in a month. These micro moves are low-stakes practice. They train your brain that you are a person who acts on purpose, not on impulse. Over time, these tiny shifts accumulate into a completely different life trajectory. Step 5, uncouple action and emotion. The final step is the most challenging, but also the most liberating: uncouple action and emotion. Most of us live under the illusion that we need to feel like doing something before we can do it. We wait to feel confident before we give the presentation. We wait to feel motivated before we go to the gym. Susan David argues that this is a recipe for stagnation. If you wait for the right feeling, you might be waiting forever. The concept: you can feel one way and act another. This is the ultimate superpower of the human mind. You can be terrified and still speak. You can be grieving and still be a present parent. You can feel social anxiety and still walk into that room. The actionable exercise, the "and" technique. Stop using the word "but" when talking about your feelings and start using the word "and." Don't say, "I want to start my business, but I'm scared." Say, "I am scared and I am taking the first step today." And allows the emotion to exist without it being an obstacle. It uncouples the feeling from the behavior. When you realize that your feelings don't have to be fixed before you can live your life, you become unstoppable. You are no longer waiting for the weather to change. You've simply learned how to walk in the rain. Emotional agility isn't about being perfect. It's not about never getting angry or never feeling sad. It's about being big enough to hold all your emotions and wise enough to not let them boss you around. As Susan David says, discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life. If you show up, step out, walk your why, make micro moves, and uncouple your actions from your moods, you aren't just surviving your feelings. You are using them to build a life of purpose. I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 steps feels the most relevant to your life right now? Is it the sacred pause or the 5% tweak? Let me know in the comments. If this deep dive into emotional agility helped you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It tells the algorithm that this kind of content matters. And if you're ready to keep mastering your mindset, check out my previous video on Brené Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection. It's the perfect companion to what we talked about today. Remember, your emotions are just data. You are the one who gets to decide what that data means. See you in the next video.